Hello and welcome back to part 2 in this series about supplements. So the first part of this series we were just discussing why people use supplements and the different categories of supplements. So if you missed that, go ahead and go back and check that out. In this one we're going to be talking a little bit more about supplement quality and concerns related to that and how that ties into some of the laws or regulations about supplements. So one of the most common conversations I have with my patients or my friends or my family is really geared on supplement quality. There is a vast array of quality for supplements on the market, and part of that is due to a lack of good quality regulation. So just a little bit of history about how this happened is in 1990. The Nutrition Labeling Act was passed, which basically gave the FDA authority to require manufacturers to provide evidence of efficacy and safety of their products. So that really gave the authority of things like supplements to the FDA. Then in 1994, so 4 years later, the DSHEA Act was passed. That's the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act, which basically said a few things. So number one, herbs cannot be treated as drugs by the FDA unless manufacturers make medical claims about them. So that's when you look at a label and on a supplement, and on the bottom it'll say these claims have not been verified by the FDA. And so that's a requirement on pretty much all supplements. It also said that the FDA gets to establish regulations on preparation and packaging. So again, that's where they said you have to say things a particular way on packaging. And it basically said that the burden of proof of safety of the supplement was on the FDA. So the FDA has the authority to require manufacturers to provide safety and efficacy of their products. They have the authority to tell them how they have to label their products, and it is on them whether or not they want to prove the safety of a particular product. So that's kind of some background about where all this started. When you look at labeling for these, pretty much all nutraceuticals or supplements are going to have at the very bottom, there'll be a little asterisk in a box and it'll say this statement has not been verified or evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended for diagnosis, treatment, cure, or prevention of any disease. So you've probably seen that on labels before. If you haven't, if it's not on your supplement labels, then they're probably not abiding by the rules and could get in trouble. They also cannot make claims as to its ability to treat or cure any kind of disease. So supplements can say something like it supports memory. It can make a structure or function claim. It can say it maintains a healthy digestive system, so it can talk towards maintenance claims. It can say other non-disease related claims, which is like it improves sleep. Those types of things. So minor symptoms associated with life changes, that's fine. But it has to have that disclaimer on the bottom. So that's kind of the background. But what that also means is because the burden of proof is on the FDA, that means it's kind of up to them whether they decide to go to each individual supplement company and request proof of safety and efficacy. So what that has translated to now that, many years later after the DSHEA Act is that there are a lot of supplement companies that aren't doing the kinds of safety and efficacy testing that we would want them to be. As we talked about in the last video, the supplement industry or the natural remedy industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And so people are wanting to get in on that and wanting to, profit off of that. And the problem is that if you're trying to profit off it, you're obviously trying to save money where you can and make money where you can. And quality assurance testing on supplements comes down to being a very expensive process. Companies who do third-party quality assurance testing are testing the quality of the raw product in the beginning, and then they're doing some kind of testing in the middle, and then they're usually doing a testing at the end to make sure that the batch is safe and that it has what it says it has in it, that it doesn't have any heavy metals in it, that it doesn't have any kind of random things in there like sawdust or grass clippings, and making sure that what's on the label is actually what the patient is getting so that it is safe and effective. Okay, that's really important. But this process, like I said, takes time and it takes money. It costs thousands of dollars to do these kinds of testing. And so most supplement companies, if they're trying to make a lot of money, may not want to subject themselves to this. They are running the risk of the FDA coming down on them and asking for proof of safety and efficacy, but they're not technically required to. And with everything the FDA does, it's not surprising that this kind of flies under the radar. So on one hand, then you have people saying that gives, that means the entire supplement industry has like bad quality practices, and that's not true. There was actually a study that was done a few years ago that looked at quality of supplements. So it took supplements off the shelves of numerous stores like GNC, Costco, Walmart, Target, and it looked at what the label said it had, and then it actually tested the ingredients of the capsules inside it. And most of the products that were tested failed. A lot of them didn't have the active ingredient in it or only had a very small amount. A lot of them had fillers like grass clippings and sawdust. And so this really just goes to show that oftentimes the supplements that you can easily obtain off the shelf that are cheap, easily accessible, these may not be the ones that are actually going to have much effect on your health. The other end of the spectrum for that are companies that do quality assurance testing. So they spend the money to do this. It's really important to them that their products are high quality, and they maintain really rigorous standards for that and do research on their products. But when that happens, that means that the cost does get passed on to the consumer. A lot of these products are physician-only brands, which means you can only get them through a qualified healthcare professional. And a lot of them you can buy off the shelf, but they may be a little bit more expensive. So a lot of people will complain to me and say, why would I buy a multivitamin or buy this herbal product, from a clinic or from a provider when it's 2 or 3 times as much as the one that I can get at Target or Walmart or GNC. And the reason is because we want to make sure that you actually are getting what you think you're getting. It's really common for people who are taking over-the-counter supplements to say that maybe they aren't noticing any effects or it's not helping them, and so they automatically think that the supplements are garbage and they don't work. And that's not true. It could just be that the supplement itself is garbage and not that the entire supplement industry is garbage. And so then, I'll see them in my practice. We end up putting them on a physician quality brand, and then they suddenly start feeling a lot better. So this is not uncommon at all. What I often tell my patients or my students is that, if you want to spend the lower dollar amount on a cheaper supplement, to me, that's just spending a few more dollars on making your urine a little bit more expensive, because your body probably can't process most of what's in there anyway. So it is kind of like throwing your money down the drain. Also, there is the possibility of what you're taking over the counter being adulterated and having pesticides or herbicides or heavy metals or some of these fillers in there that you wouldn't want in your body and you wouldn't want in your medicine and could potentially cause more harm than good. So that's a big concern as well. So that's just a little bit of understanding about what's going on in consumerism, wanting you to know a little bit more about quality and why it's important to make sure that what you're getting or what you're putting into your body is a high quality, and that certainly applies to all supplements. The next video is going to talk a little bit about what you can do as the consumer. It'll probably be a little bit shorter, a little bit more succinct, and if you have any questions, please comment below and I'm happy to answer them. Thanks so much. Hope you enjoyed the video.